Hello, funny day today on April 9 in this valley nearby Harihata River, north of Kyoto. Altitude is about 500 meters above the sea level. Still snow in the forest, but here on the roadside is almost hot. And violets are flowering. Violets now flowering copiously all around Kyoto. And this is a good chance to tell you more about them. So violets represent the very big genus Viola, which belongs to the family Violaceae, and that genus will fill almost more than a half of the family with its own species. Success of violets is probably due to unusual shape of their flower. So look on their flower. You see that flower is not quite typical. Like people, when they start to draw the flower, they typically draw something symmetric, like a star shape. And this is explainable because plant body is a body which accepts the sun. And it actually does not matter which side you will prefer. Sun will go around you and you will take the sun rays. So plant body by default, by evolutionary process, is radially symmetric. And flower is a condensed shoot, condensed plant body, and therefore it also radially symmetric, and many flowers are. But among them, in some groups of flowering plants, there are flowers which are non-similar to plants. They actually similar to animals, because animals, like we, are things which have a front, back, left and right, and we are bilaterally symmetric. So when flower start to devolve from radially to bilaterally symmetric, it does it somehow to imitate the animal. And why is? Well, because it wants to be pollinated with animals more effectively. Of course, radially symmetric flowers can be pollinated with insects as well. But bilaterally symmetric flowers will be pollinated more effectively. One of simple reasons that insect, will expect something similar to itself, and it will find very well what to do with bilateral flower, because it has an opening, it has a backside, in that case it's a spore, it has a left, it has a right, so very well understandable. Very nicely well understandable flowers are flowers with bilateral symmetry, or like we call them zygomorphic. Now, violet belongs to the very big group of rosettes, and among rosettes, bilaterally symmetrical flowers is relatively rare. There are whole big groups with that type of flowers. Most famous are legumes. And violets also, they develop very interesting structure of the flower, which made their pollination with insects extremely efficient. This, I think, is the key to their success. So flower consists of perianth, which is slightly modified to make like a spore. Spore is the back side of the flower, which should be, well, containing nectar, and the goal of insect will go within the flower to go to the bottom of the spore and take as much nectar as possible. Meanwhile, insect must, from the point of view of flower, somehow make the main function. So insect wants nectar, but flower wants pollination, and that pollination will be achieved through complicated structure. In violet, male and female organs together make a complicated thing which works perfectly. So when insect touch, at first it can touch the female, like a whitish part which is visible on the very entrance of flower, and that place insect might leave pollen grains which are already on its body. Then it will go down towards the spore and will touch male structures, which will immediately release pollen on the body of the insect. And when insect will go to next flower, that pollen will be transferred from one flower to another, exactly what flower wants. For simple reason that flower has no legs, it cannot move, so somebody else, wind or water, or better some wild creatures which have some brains, will help it to make sexual process more effective. So violets have this very tight adaptation to insect pollination, developed so well that 400 species of violets is a very good number, which demonstrates us that strategy of pollination is successful in multiple different communities. Well, typical violet looks like that, but there are many interesting violets, some shrubby ones. Some of them grow in very high altitude in South America, so they remain like cabbages more than violets. So they're very different shape, but flower is conserved. Flower will be same structure and will be pollinated with insects. In addition, violets have beautiful mechanism of seed distribution, because fruit is dry, fruit will open and it will start to distribute seeds with a force. So fruit of violet will take seeds like with a pressure. Seeds will go out of the fruit sometimes as long as 5 meters. And then after landing, insects, in that case ants, will take the seed, because seed of violet, well, has multiple things which adapted to make ants, well, at least like it and take to some new place. So most important is elaiosome. Elaiosome is attachment to the seed, which insect will eat, and meanwhile drop seeds somewhere else. Some species of violets will kind of have a tendency to grow nearby the ant houses, simply because ants will draw seeds nearby, and sometimes they grow almost in random places. Plus, seeds are easy to take, which is also important. So ants will take a seed and will transfer it to some particular distance, sometimes meters, but sometimes hundreds of meters. So exactly, again, what violet wants. So the world of violet is amazing. They adapted to insect pollination not only with the structure, but also with color, and also with odor. The odors of violet also very, very diverse. Some odorated violets are extremely famous. This one I'm not sure. It has a weak odor, at least while it will help insect to recognize flower even in darkness maybe. Anyway, so world of violets is amazing, and lots of species are flowering right now in Japan, because violets are spring flowers. So they prefer to flower immediately after sun starts to be available. In that case, pollinators will see them very well, and not much competitors, flowers which flower at the same time, are available nearby. So violets with their bright bluish or whitish flowers will be, sometimes yellowish also, will be visible from the long distance. So this is a world of violet explained on April 9 in a small valley nearby Harihata River north of Kyoto. Thank you very much.